We are going to the task force. Mr. Councilmember Johnson.
Yes, thank you very much. It's to establish a task force, a resolution establishing a task force, improving human services, defining the purpose, function, and objectives of said task force, and providing for the membership thereof.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I overlooked the fact that we need to go back and read the ordinance for that amendment on Section 8. Okay. Madam Clerk.
Proposed ordinance number 09-14, an ordinance amending Section 8-1-22 of the Code of the City of Pensacola, Florida, prohibiting camping as defined on all public property of the city, providing exceptions, providing for severability, repealing clause, providing an effective date.
Move the approval.
I got a motion and a second. Councilmember Barry, your light's on.
I just wanted to say that there's a second reading of this ordinance, so we'll have no chance.
Okay. Please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Now, I'm sorry, Councilman Johnson.
Yeah, thank you very much. And it is to a resolution establishing a task force on improving human services, defining the purpose, function, and objectives of said task force, and providing for the membership thereof.
I need a motion.
So moved. Second.
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, I have, would you like to speak to it first, Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam President. And I just want to say that, I have put this together with the mayor's support. The mayor has communicated to me that he would like to appoint, if this does pass tonight, Nathan Monk to this committee, task force. He has communicated that to me. This task force will take a look at all ordinances, the one that we discussed tonight, a look at what's happening in other communities, what's working, and bring back solutions to this city council. It's easy to call us names and to say that we don't have a heart. Someone said I didn't have a heart tonight, and that hurts me because I do. And sometimes you really don't know what's going on up here and why we do certain things, and you'll never know. But tonight we're trying to do the right thing. I think that we had a unanimous vote just a minute ago to look at an ordinance and to tweak it. And I look for this task force to look at all our ordinances and tweak them. And thank you very much for considering this, my fellow council members.
Okay. We have Councilmember Baer.
Thank you, Madam President. In reviewing this ordinance, I made a couple phone calls today just to see if we had talked to some of the people we're going to be asking to help us on this group. And I know United Way, for instance, their executive director had no idea about this particular resolution, and neither did the head of the Waterfront Rescue Mission. And I'm hopeful that, that I know that they both said that they would participate. I think it would have been better in hindsight to involve them and let them know in advance that they were going to be maybe tasked with making some recommendations. Ultimately, we'll appoint, and I don't know exactly how that's going to happen. This doesn't really define that, but the council will have the ability to, will appoint all the people by a majority vote. I am concerned about the number, not that there's 11, but the fact that there are several that were left off. I spoke with a gentleman today. He's actually out there in the audience, Mr. Johnson, another Johnson, not that would be a violation of sunshine if I talked to this Mr. Johnson over here. But there are other people, I think, that should be involved in this, and we had a good discussion about that. I mean, there are definitely some concerns. I know I've talked to some residents about neighborhood parks that abut homes and the presence of people that don't have homes within those parks and their reservations about some of our rules and things. I think that needs to be taken into consideration. We have an organization called CNAP, Council of Neighborhood Association Presidents of Pensacola, that ought to have a representative on there. What I would really like to see is that once this task force is established, I don't have a problem with the initial group. I'm assuming that Mr. Monk would be the civil liberties advocate. I'm just assuming. Or he may be the mayor's appointee. I don't know. But I would like to see this group have the ability to add additional members. That would be the only thing that I would really like to see in this. And we only get one shot at this because it's only one reading. Isn't it right for a resolution?
Yes.
One reading. And so I think that would be my only reservation right now. I'll support it. But I think that having additional members being able to be added would be something that would be very beneficial. Thank you.
Councilmember Myers. Councilmember Myers.
Yes, I have some concerns and maybe a suggested amendment to this. I want to make sure that people with disabilities are represented on this committee. There are many different types of disabilities, not all physical, some mental. And I want to make sure that women and children, which make up the largest group of homeless people, are represented on this committee. Now, one of the suggestions I have, I think one of the most logical organizations to have on this committee is the Community Action Program. I'm on the board, by the way, and serving for the City Council. That organization gets $18 million a year from the federal government, and they run all of the Head Start programs in the county for children. And most of them, many of them, come from a female head of households, working mothers. They also have programs to help people. Their sole mission, goal, is to lift people out of poverty. What I would rather see is, instead of having the City of Pensacola Housing Office on this board, on this committee, that city department can serve as a resource. But I think the Community Action Program director or his designee should be substituted for City of Pensacola Housing Office. So I'm going to make a motion that we substitute, and by the way, I have not spoken to the director, Community Action Director, about this, because we haven't had really an opportunity to really discuss this until right now. But I'm going to ask that we amend this item E, paragraph E here. One member shall be a representative of the Community Action Program.
You mean D?
No, E. E has the City of Pensacola Housing Office as a representative. I think that our housing office can be a resource.
There's a new one.
There was a new one.
Oh, the tweaked one.
D.
Okay, it would be D. That D be amended to state the Community Action Program. Would the maker of the motion be amenable to that friendly amendment?
Councilmember Johnson.
I'll second.
Councilmember Johnson, a lot of people have thought about having other people or stakeholders involved. Would you be able to put in a statement that says that the committee would be able to add other members as they see fit instead of just adding as we go along?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Yes, I have no problem with that. I don't envision this task force being so large that it becomes too large. When I had my conversation with Mr. Johnson yesterday, who said that he'd be willing to serve, he also expressed concerns about this getting too large and that way not being able to function. So I took a stab at this. I also talked to Sarah Lackshaw with the ACLU. She said she was willing to serve. I believe Mr. Monk is willing to serve. But if we needed add-on, I would be fine. But I would like this task force. I don't believe we need anything larger than, say, 15. But I'm willing to accept any comments and consideration and suggestions from my fellow council members. Thank you.
Councilmember Baird.
Thank you, Madam President. I think I have an amendment that will address that. And I don't know, are we still on Councilwoman Myers?
I don't know, did anyone second it?
I did, but I'll withdraw it so I can do mine.
Okay.
But I think it'll address, it won't exactly address, but this is what I would propose, is that under Section 3, it says that the task force shall be comprised of 11, I would say 11 initial members, and then add in a letter H, which would say additional members as deemed appropriate by the task force. Would you accept that?
Could we put a number on, I don't want to get it so big and so large. I think we need to have some type of
With a maximum number of
15.
15 members. Okay.
Not to exceed.
Okay.
Please wind up.
Okay.
So he has an amendment, and I need a second.
Second.
So we need to vote on that amendment.
Do you want me to read it again, Madam President?
Yes.
Okay, and I'll give a copy to the clerk, too. Under Section 3, it says that the task force shall be comprised of 11, put in the word initial, I-N-I-T-I-A-L, initial members, and then add a letter H at the end of Section 3, and it will state additional members as deemed appropriate by the task force with a maximum of 15
So we have a
Total.
motion. Yes, we have a motion.
members.
All right, I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to this amendment. Now, there's some of you out there, I have 6 cards, I believe, 1, 2, 3, I have 5 cards that you had put in for the add-on for this particular one. So would you, the task force, so would you want to speak to this, or would you wait for it to go back to the main motion? Okay, all right, thank you. Councilman Spencer.
Thank you. For audience members that don't have the benefit, Madam President, of the resolution, or they haven't reviewed it, I just think it's beneficial for them to know that this task force has an assignment, once it is formulated, to provide a final report for delivery to the City Council no later than 8 months from the date of the adoption of this resolution. So I just think that's some information that we have stipulated in this resolution, an 8-month turnaround time for a report. Also, I just want to add that obviously I'm in support of that language as presented by fellow council member Bear. I too had some feedback from members in the community that wanted to see us broaden the membership. And finally, I communicated today with Executive Director of the Waterfront Rescue Mission, Mr. Mick Breaux, who encouraged us to pass this resolution tonight to get this task force going. He did remind me that a year ago we had a conversation, and that is Mr. Breaux and myself, in which we discussed the formation of this task force. I know that someone else from the Waterfront Rescue Mission received that information from him later today, but he is in support of this resolution and looks forward to serving as a representative on the Waterfront Rescue Mission on the task force.
Thank you, Councilmember Wingate.
Well, I'd just like to say I'm in support of this, and also I'm looking forward to the workshops that we're going to have on homelessness that's being set up by the council executive.
Okay. Thank you. I have seen no more lights, so we're voting on the amendment. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Now we're back to, now it becomes the main motion, and I have some cards in which we have people who would like to speak. Mr. Monk?
I support the task force. Beyond that, I would like to say that I think that it's very important to remember that the reason that we're here is because we love people. We care about people. And I think it's important to remember that these council people are people. The mayor is a person. The police officers are people. And it's very easy to get angry, but that doesn't create solutions. And I'm looking to create a solution. That's what I want to see happen with this task force. Whether I'm on it or not, I hope that this task force moves forward to create solutions. And we're going to create those solutions by dialogue, not by pointing fingers, not by getting angry, but by having conversations. And I believe that this task force will become a conduit to have that conversation and to do it in a productive way. I don't think that it is a secret that I don't like the other 3 ordinances that are on the books, or the portion of this ordinance that remains on the books. If anyone remembers, I got really, really dangerously close to getting arrested speaking out against those ordinances. So I'm willing to go to jail. I'm willing to make a difference and to make a change. And we need to do that through conversation and through this task force. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Alistair McKenzie.
Councilman Johnson, thank you so very much for proposing this task force. Thank you for living up to the promise that was made to the people back in May when these ordinances were first passed that criminalized homelessness, that were promised to us by certain members of the council that will go unnamed, and nothing was ever done about it. You are to be absolutely commended for this, and this is an essential thing that the city of Pensacola needs and needs to have put in place. Now, as to the other issue with the task force, is the first order of its business is should be get rid of all these 3 ordinances. You were given an opportunity here tonight to do the right thing. You had an amendment made to get rid of the ordinance that you know is inhumane. So you're sitting here pushing a task force forward, yet still criminalizing homelessness in this town. And I just wonder if, the owner of Hopjacks has donated enough to the campaigns of these council people to keep them mum when it comes to having people's human rights violated. I am ashamed at those of you who voted against that tonight. You should be ashamed of yourselves, and I hope it cost you your jobs. Thank you.
Jason King. Jason King.
So, I don't even think we need to talk about this. I think this was promised to us last May. Mr. McKenzie was nice enough not to name names. I'll name names. President Canada Wynn, this was your baby. This is what you promised to us. You promised it to us last year. You said that in 6 months we'd have it up and running. Guess what? Time's overdue. Way, way, way overdue here. And I think that you guys just missed a huge opportunity. I hope on the second reading that we have enough people here to actually vote this in. You had an opportunity here tonight to strike all of this down because it is inhumane. It is inhumane. You guys have not even put forth one reason why any of these would be valuable. Not one. You know why? Because there's no value to any of them at all. At all. And I implore you, make this task force and strike down all of these other ordinances. Councilman Bear pushed through a wonderful ordinance today, amendment today, and you guys, we had the majority of the people that were here, the people that bothered to come to council meetings. Like we have a mayor that doesn't bother to come to city council meetings, even though he's never been here. It's great that we have a stand-in for his proxy, but you know what? I don't think we voted for a proxy, right? We voted for someone to be in this room.
Sir, I would appreciate that if you stay on the topic.
This is very much on topic of what we're talking about right now. This is very much on topic of what we're talking right now. And your narrow interpretation is the problem.
On the topic, please.
This is the topic. We're talking about this homeless task force that now all of a sudden is a hot button issue because it's now an election year. Okay? We're here 7 days a week, 365, helping the homeless, even when it's not an election year. Do this task force, do it right, get some real things done, and search your souls here. We're talking about human rights violations. Okay. Take care.
Thank you. Michael Kimbrough. Michael Kimbrough.
Good evening, Council. I know I'm notorious for not playing nice with y'all, so I'm going to actually play nice tonight. I am going to share that I'm very disappointed. I do want to thank Councilman Johnson. I know me and him have had our differences in the past, but this is one that we definitely agree on wholeheartedly, and thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Bear, for your attempt, and hopefully we'll be, more successful at the next council meeting, because the difference between y'all is once y'all are no longer in office, we're still here fighting, and we're not going to stop. We're going to keep coming. And we also are really, really, really good, as y'all have noticed, of, making this world news. And what y'all have done tonight is going to be going out, and you'll be reading about it all over the place tomorrow. So thank you very much. And, to quote one of my favorite movies, unleash the Kraken.
Gotti Dubasan. Ms. Gotti Dubasan.
Yes, thank you, Council. I spoke on Monday in the agenda meeting encouraging you to set up this task force, and I'm proud of you for getting it into action. But I want to encourage you, as you select the individuals to be on this task force, let's not make it just be about agencies being there. Let's step back and look at people who bring the thoughtful approach to this project so that we can analyze the issues completely, look at all solutions, and not just have one agency championing their thought process or pointing fingers at another. Let's make this into a positive exploration of possible solutions and include as many of the advocates who have taken their time and who have stepped forward and been a part of bringing you to this point, rather than it just being about agencies who are already overwhelmed with the task that they have in hand. So please consider those individuals who have been here, who've offered their services, and find ways of using them in this task force, please. Thank you.
Councilman Bear.
Thank you, Madam President. Dottie, are you volunteering to be nominated? Is that what?
It has always been my policy not to be a part of any committee because I forget who I can speak to under the sunshine, but this is an important enough thing that would it be necessary for me to be there? But I do believe there are people who've had more experience. I did work in Denver with the center that had a lot of homeless individuals there, and I do have some experience, but I am not nearly as expert as some of these people who've been in the trenches for the last few years here. Right. But I would do anything I could to bring good information forward.
Thank you.
We have the last two cards is a Deborah Carnley, and after Ms. Carnley is Jimmy Lease.
I just wanted to thank you as a homeless person in your city for voting for a task force. I think that's an excellent idea. I want to see progress in this situation. We don't like being homeless. It's not a lifestyle that we want. You can have an ordinance to call us criminals. You can lock us up, and you can send us out of your city, and you'll have more homeless people come here. That's not a solution. That is not a solution. You will have more homeless people, poor people come into your city. The Bible says that you will always have poor people with you. You will always have poor people in your city. You can send us out and not find a solution, and you'll have more poor people that will come through and stay and come in. And thank you for hearing me.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Myers.
Yes, and I do want to state that I hope that there will be some homeless people serving on this committee. If not, it's kind of like having a committee to address the issues of people with disabilities, but no people with disabilities are on it. So I wanted you to keep that in mind, and I think we've had some very articulate people here tonight who are homeless, and I would like to see them considered for service on this committee, if they're willing to. Thank you.
Mr. Lees?
Wow. I don't know what else to say. You like everyone said, you had the opportunity to do the right thing, the actual right thing. You can't even look at me, can you? People that voted against this, you can't even look at me, can you? I mean, like Mr. McKenzie stated, have your votes been bought by someone with more money than everyone else? Because there's a term for that sort of politics, and it's sure as hell ain't democracy. So, I just don't know what's wrong with you people, seriously. Is this a big PR campaign because it's an election year? Oh, look, we're going to do the right thing because it's an election year and people are mad. Well, guess what? It's not going away. The opposition to this is not going to go away just because you create a task force. As if it's a hollow promise, if that's all it is, then we're going to be knocking on your doors again.
Councilmember Bear, I do believe this is yours.
My second time. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam President. In just looking through this, and obviously I'm going to support it, in Section 4 it states that the City Council executive and staff serve as primary staff support for the task force and work with the Office of the Mayor to secure any resources necessary for the work of the task force. If any of you have ever served on a board that's governed by the Sunshine Law, you know that it can be onerous at times. It requires certain things, and my hope in reading our charter, it speaks about our city attorney and his role to chief legal advisor to officials, elected and appointed officials, boards and commissions. I'm hopeful that the support of the mayor's office means that he will be available to give some guidance to this group, some of which may have never served on a group that's subject to sunshine, because last thing we want is for someone to get on an agency that's supposed to help us. I think this may be one of our first, maybe our only task force that we've done since the new governance system has gone into place. But I want to make sure that they're prepared to do their work and that they do it within the law and that they're protected. So, I'm hopeful that that will occur. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Seeing no other lights, having no other cards, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Madam Clerk?
A resolution establishing a task force on improving human services, defining the purpose, function, and objectives of said task force, and providing for the membership thereof.
Move the approval. Second.
A motion and second. Any comments? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.